This is the Tuesday edition of Market View right here on Eswatini TV. I am Natalie Sitole. Welcome to the program. For 4 decades, Eswatini has undergone a dramatic economic transformation under the leadership of His Majesty King Mswati III. In 1986, the country's economy was valued at 1.4 billion Malangeni, with few formal local businesses, little digital infrastructure, and few opportunities for ordinary Maswati to participate in the economy. 40 years later, Eswatini's economy is worth above 95 billion Malangeni, and around 94,000 MSMEs operate across the country, accounting for the employment of more than 91,000 people. From family shops and informal traders to growing manufacturing firms, thousands of Maswati have built enterprises that have helped shape the country's economic story. This afternoon, in conversation with ZETCO, we'll take a closer look at what SMEs and MSMEs are celebrating as the country honors His Majesty's 40 years on the throne. But first, our business stories. In our business stories this afternoon, the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, has called on cooperatives to strengthen governance and fully comply with regulatory laws to safeguard members' finances. Speaking at the 7th Eswatini Association of Savings and Credit Cooperatives in Daba, held at Sibayeni Lodge in Matapa, the Minister emphasized accountability and financial security as key priorities.
Good governance is not an option. It is a requirement for sustainability, and it is an imperative to build public trust. In the very same spirit, regulatory compliance must be embraced as a tool for strengthening our cycles. Compliance with all financial regulations ensures that SACCOs operate within acceptable standards, they manage risks, and safeguard the deposits that the members make. Government continues to support the work of regulators in ensuring that the SACCO movement remains stable, credible, and resilient. Furthermore, the future of financial services is increasingly shaped by technology and innovation. SACCOs must therefore embrace digital transformation to enhance service delivery, improve efficiency, and expand access to members. Digital platforms such as mobile services, online loan application, member experiences, and also improve convenience. However, as SACCOs adopt technology, they must also prioritize cyber security, data protection, and system reliability in order to protect members and maintain trust.
Chairperson of the Eswatini Savings and Credit Cooperatives, Kaya Mavuso, outlines key issues set to take center stage at the Indaba.
We are dealing with member funds. It is important for our members from the different cooperatives to be confident and have trust in their cooperative to govern or to manage their monies. That is what we want to improve the governance among the different cooperatives, so that at the end of the day, we may realize the dream of probably moving further to develop a cooperative bank. We will also be having a discussion on a concept note in terms of the development of a cooperative bank. One of the issues that normally emerges when we're speaking about a cooperative bank is that, do we want to tap into the banking industry? No. We want to remain as cooperatives. However, we want to create a platform which will be affordable and will be able to service our cooperative members so that the concept of solidarity and collaboration among cooperatives is realized.
Eswatini's cooperative sector continues to show strong growth with 1,480 registered cooperatives, a combined membership of 84,045 with 2.5 billion emalangeni in consolidated assets and 1.8 billion emalangeni in total savings. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla with Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Matsapa.
Over 12 million emalangeni has been disbursed under the Women Business Startup Microfinance Revolving Fund, which was officially launched in March of 2024. The Revolving Fund, which is supported by Taiwan ICDF, has been an attractive product within the Guyendega Savings and Credit Cooperative Society, which is a financial initiative supported by the Taiwan International Cooperation and Development Fund to empower local entrepreneurs, particularly women, through financial literacy, business training, and microfinance. 599 members have benefited from this product since inception. This is according to the chairperson of Guyendega Savings and Credit Cooperative Society, Bongegile Faguze. The chairperson says loans that have been issued under the SACCO are 134 and they amount to over 2 million emalangeni. And you're up to date with some of the latest in business. After the break, we speak to SETCO CEO Kethu Mhlanga. Stay with us.
Hello to all the viewers of Eswatini TV in the kingdom and beyond. Eswatini TV is regulated by the Eswatini Communications Commission through the Broadcasting Code and Broadcasting Guidelines. Under these instruments, the station commits to broadcasting information and news that have been fact-checked, programs and content in respectful language with no elements of hate speech, violence or sexual activity. If you hear any unsuitable content on this channel, you have a right to voice your complaints with the station management. Should you not be satisfied with the response or action taken, you can escalate your matter to the Communications Commission at PO Box 7811 Babani. Call 2406 7000 or send an email to info@esccom.org.za. For more information, visit www.esccom.org.za.
Welcome back. You're still watching Market View, and moving on with the program. As Eswatini marks 40 years of His Majesty King Mswati III's reign, the spotlight today falls on the growth and resilience of micro, small and medium enterprises, long recognized as the backbone of the country's economy. His Majesty's leadership has shaped the development of this crucial sector, driving opportunities, innovation and empowerment for entrepreneurs, said Co-Chief Executive Officer Kethu Mhlanga joins us to unpack the journey, highlight the key successes and outline the road ahead for MSMEs in Eswatini. Kethu, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Let's start here. We have seen His Majesty as a custodian for culture and an ambassador for peace. We have seen the growth of local MSMEs. Maybe just from that, looking at him from a business perspective, what do you make of his leadership?
From the business perspective, I would say His Majesty the King
has been very instrumental in supporting our MSMEs. We have seen him visit various businesses across the country, but not just that. He has made sure that he also participates when it comes to the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. He graces it and he makes sure he's there personally to award our MSMEs. So he's been very instrumental in ensuring that our MSMEs are recognized and they're also celebrated by Eswatini. We have seen Ingwenyama also taking us. You know, as SEDCO has been around, there has been the element of having headquarters, having various estates at the Nkundla level. And through all his speeches, His Majesty has highlighted that he wants to see services of SEDCO to be at the Nkundla level, so that every Liswati, especially the ones who are doing business, they have access to those services. And we have done that in ensuring that we currently have 8 estates in all 4 regions. And with those estates, we have also made sure that we are going to the Nkundla level to make sure that we have that visibility to our MSMEs so that we capacitate them accordingly. Further on, we always get a directive from His Majesty, particularly when he speaks, when it comes to his speech from the throne. He always gives us a directive and say, looking at the changing times of how we've grown as a nation, in the past years, he has been directing us to be more innovative as MSMEs, directing us to have innovation hubs for our MSMEs so that they get into the space of now also being digital and having access to the Internet of Things for our MSMEs so that they're able to also be accessing information from different countries and not just be limited to here in Eswatini. So we've seen that growth. We've also started in implementing some of those requests from His Majesty, such as establishing the iHub at Pigs Peak. We have now another one at Maqecheni, which will be launched very soon, which is contributing to that digital visibility for our MSMEs.
Your description of His Majesty's leadership proves rather very visionary. The 2023 FinScope survey estimates that there are over 90,000 MSMEs operating in the country, and these account for just at least over 40% of the GDP. How important has the SME sector been in driving the country's economic growth, maybe just over the past 40 years?
I think one thing we should always keep in mind is that we always say that MSMEs, they are the backbone of the economy. And this translates not only through the GDP aspect, there's also the other aspect of even the human development aspect, where we actually see our entrepreneurs growing and supporting their families. This we see even in the diversification of the type of business that they've been doing over the years. They've understood the element of having value chains in their businesses. I think in the past, we've always known, particularly when you think of SEDCO estates, that it's only textile. They're only doing uniforms. But now you're finding others who are in the agricultural space, or they're in the furniture space doing carpentry, or some others are actually doing innovative office space that is mobile. So there is now that diversity that is coming from our entrepreneurs. And even those that are in the agricultural sector, we're seeing them now producing beyond adding value to their products, where now they are able to either they do their chilies or their archers, but there is that value addition that we're seeing from our entrepreneurs. So the growth for us is seeing more of our entrepreneurs being able to have a livelihood, seeing more of our entrepreneurs having diversity in the type of products that they are producing. I think what we have also seen is our entrepreneurs now are not even scared of applying for international competition, which shows that they see that they are bigger than they might be perceived as a small enterprise, but they are able to excel, they are able to take their products out of the country. So this is the type of growth that we really encourage with our entrepreneurs.
What do you think have been some of the turning points or initiatives that have enabled that growth? Because when His Majesty speaks locally, yes, he encourages diversification. Whenever he's out of the country, he always advocates for investment into goods or into the Kingdom of Eswatini. And locally, we have seen initiatives such as the Ingelo certification scheme, where we do now have local products trading under that. But what do you think has enabled SMEs to thrive, really?
What has enabled our SMEs, I think it's the policy, it's the legislations. We have the right kind of procurement act that is enabling them to also be part of the value chains, even for the foreign direct investors. There's that linkage between the small business as well as the big business. So by being part of the logistics, they are also able to grow within that space, as well as access to finance. Access to finance has been quite critical for our MSMEs, and it gives them that leeway to now have the capability to get the right stock, the right quality, and be able to produce at a standard that is applicable even international level. So those things have really set the stage for our entrepreneurs. In terms of having the certifications, such as the Ingelo certification, that's even more for our local. It's capacitating our entrepreneurs to be able to now have their products in the shelves for the retails that are here in Eswatini. But based on the standards that they will be utilizing, it helps them in terms of capacity so that now they can meet the international standards as well, so that they are able to take their products out of the country. So little things such as capacity building, having the right legislations in place, having the right regulations which promote SME growth is what has been setting the stage for our MSMEs.
You did say earlier something common, that MSMEs are the backbone of the country's economy. I would appreciate if maybe you could just share an example, if possible, which are some of the local businesses or industries that you think kind of represent or tell Eswatini's growth story better, at least over the past 40 years. Maybe just an example that really started small or has been supported by SETCO, but we've now seen it grown exponentially.
We can give an example of Acero Steel. Acero Steel is a small company. It started small. Now it has graduated, actually, because it started at SETCO Estate. So I think that's a good example because it started, yes, it's local. It's Acero Steel, and it really grew from being under SETCO's incubation program in Matapa. They produce steel products such as door frames and the likes, and their products are found in the hardware shops here in Eswatini. And they've been working towards how they can export. In terms of Acero Steel, they have grown to the point where they now went and built their own factory, a big factory shell for that matter.
Allow me to come in, CEO. You touched on the incubation program, which is one of the initiatives that SETCO really has. We have seen the entrepreneurship, the Entrepreneur of the Year awards, of which this year we are expecting the 20th edition. And then we also have MTN SETCO, Tlijange Business Competition, many other trainings that SETCO is running to really just capacitate local MSMEs. When you look at these programs, have they had the impact or the outcomes that SEDCO really sits down and say, this is what we really want to achieve?
Based on what we have seen with some of our winners, whether it's with Tsijange Business or it's with the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, we've seen growth when it comes to them moving forward beyond the competition. So in terms of our winners for the year, we've seen their businesses growing. We've seen them entering international competitions. We have seen them being recognized in other countries as well, in terms of just the change that they are doing in Eswatini. What's even more interesting, past winners of year have become also sponsors for year as well. So that shows that there is that dedication from even our MSMEs to say we also want to contribute to the growth of another entrepreneur. So there's that level of now we want to support each other. It's no longer an issue of just competing with one another, but it's a networking that is being more than ever celebrated within our MSME space. So we see that growth happening.
Speaking of EA, if I recall, in the 18th edition or back in 2023, it was reported that this is a program that has generated more than 71 million in Malangeni in revenue and created over 400 jobs. It's 2026. This is a program that keeps growing. Like I said, we're looking forward to the 20th edition. What does this really reveal about the potential of local entrepreneurs if they receive the right support?
What we can say is with the right kind of support, they would even excel more. I just want to indicate that when we look at the statistics, also for last year, they've now had a turnover of 167 million. So you can see already that they are growing as entrepreneurs. So what we need is really all about providing them with the right financial assistance, right certification programs so that their exports and all their products are able to be in the shelves, providing them as well as with networks, have impact investors that are coming in who will speak to them about the potential of being a bigger business. Don't limit them to just being SMEs. Let them understand that they are now a potential of being these big companies in the country.
Potential to grow. Fair enough. Thank you very much, CEO. We'll leave it here. That was SEDCO CEO Kethiwe Mhlanga talking to us about the impact and progress and growth they have seen in the MSME sector, rather, as we have been led by His Majesty King himself III for the past 40 years. This is Market View. The show continues after this.
Those that are in pain must forget all the problems they have. Because the things of the earth have got no answer. But the answer that we have is all morning. When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to myself. I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare that a turnaround is coming my way.
Turnaround is coming in my life.
Welcome back and moving on with the program. We're heading now to our market analysis segment with in-house economist Anele Sibia joining us virtually. Mr. Sibia, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. So fluctuating tensions in the joint Iran-US, Israel-US versus Iran war. Are markets really pricing in at this de-escalation at this moment?
Good morning, good afternoon, Notsile, and good afternoon to the viewer. So what we're seeing in markets is precisely, a bit of what we call a risk on. It's a bit of a risk on such type of situation where we're seeing that with less and less of a retaliation coming from Iran, markets are getting a bit stable. But, when we saw that those tensions coming through yesterday, where we knew that and we saw that there was, an attack on an Iranian vessel, markets really did to take a dive then. But there is a bit of some sentiments towards towards the de-escalation stance and whether we're going to see that extension for the next 2 weeks, and that's actually coming out clear in the European and Asian markets. And then also, if you look into the US markets, so at close, the US markets were still just pricing in a bit of more volatility at that point in time, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average losing 4.8 points, and then the Nasdaq Composite Index losing 64 points, and the S&P 500 losing 16.92 points, but still staying on that very high note. The markets are still trading very close to those all-time high levels, not showing and signaling that there is a bit of a pricing in of a de-escalation within the US markets. And then also there is earnings season that's also in play here. We've got to remember that over and above the war, there are still market fundamentals that are keenly at play. And then coming into the European markets, what we noticed there is the FTSE 100 is actually has actually gained some points back on that 10,624 mark. And remember that before the war started, the FTSE 100 was sitting at that 10,800 mark. Just we're hoping that it was going to get to that 11,000 mark, given the fact that the UK economy really was seen to be doing well, and the tech space was doing very well, and those surprising GDP figures showing the resilience of the UK economy were also at play. But right now, with earnings at play and also a pricing in of that de-escalation and the price of Brent crude oil also just coming down a bit, it just does point to some upward movements within the UK markets. And also remember that this is where the old economy really dwells, and that's where you find a lot of these recession-proof stocks, and that's why we're continuing to see that those movements within the UK economy. Germany is up 159 points there. Remember, Frankfurt is a largely exporting economy, and that cooling off or that stabilization within the price of Brent crude oil below the 100 mark and actually below the $95 mark per barrel is supporting, the export-driven German economy. And remember, we're also expecting huge investments in Germany to repair aging infrastructure. So all of those factors are coming into play and really just helping push the markets upward. And then also in France, we're seeing some resilience, even though we've seen that there's been a bit of a drag on those luxury stocks. But overall, the defense spending that President Macron keeps on touting is actually supporting the French markets there. Coming into the Asian markets, the Nikkei is up 524 points to rest on that 559,000 mark. Now, remember that these are actually pre-war levels. We're almost back at pre-war levels within Nikkei. So that's why I'm saying you are seeing the optimism mostly coming into play in the Asian space, because that's where a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz really does hit a lot. And if Asian markets are reading something else, we could have seen this by, a bit of a decline in those Asian markets. And then in terms of the Hang Seng, mainland China, Hong Kong there, up 126 points, sitting on that 26,000 mark, again, pre-war levels. And then also the Shanghai Composite Index, sitting at that 4,085 mark, just a couple of hundreds below pre-war levels. So it shows that there is a bit of optimism and a bit of pricing in of a de-escalation coming out, and the fact that we expect expected a retaliation yesterday when there was that incident involving an Iranian ship and also in the U.S. Navy, but we've not seen any. And the Tehran is not really coming up with more of an escalatory tone there. And then in terms of the South African Stock Exchange, so the South African Stock Exchange really is on the all-time is on a higher note, resting on that 119,000 mark. But it is largely supported by gold, which in itself is also oscillating, depending on where the markets expect the price of gold to go. And also, if you look at those troubles within Anglo Gold Ashanti there, so the gold makers within the Johannesburg stock markets are actually a bit under stress. In Eswatini, the Eswatini Stock Exchange remains relatively stable. In terms of our commodities, gold is down 21 points, and Brent crude oil is also down more 1.25 points, largely due to the cooling off of tensions and the talks going on in Islamabad. But in terms of the currency, the Langan is weakened a bit against the rand and strengthened against the euro and the Japanese yen, largely driven by those movements in the war trajectory. Thank you, Nazili.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibiya, for your insights. That was in-house economist Zanele Sibiya showing insights on the day's trade. Otherwise, we've come to the end of the Tuesday edition of Market View. From myself and the team, thank you for your company. Bye-bye.